Today we're in the Aspen Grove here in Montana, in what I thought would be a secluded spot, but as soon as I turned the camera on, 3 cars drove by. Spent probably a half hour setting up. Not one car went by, and as soon as I hit record, of course, all this traffic goes by. But anyway, so it is. Painting, and I get a frog in my throat too as soon as I start. I should have drank more, but I didn't. I'm up here in the mountains in the Beartooth, and I was captivated by these aspens, by the color of them. There's a lot of aspens around here, a lot of backlit aspens, and I was really tempted to do the backlit ones, but I really, I just kept getting drawn back to these more frontlit aspens with the, with that really intense blue sky behind there. And to me, they're more challenging to paint than the backlit ones. So I thought I would give it a try and see how we do here. And I want to thank you for watching. And joining me on this little venture. And excuse me for constantly having to clear my throat. I should have had a bit more water, as I said, but if it keeps happening, I'll just have to shut off the camera for a minute and go get something to drink. If you're new to my channel and you don't mind some occasional throat clearing, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It really helps me to continue making these videos, to want to make these videos. I plein air paint, but doing the videos is a bit more challenging. So I love it when I see that there's actually a purpose for doing it. Just want to make sure that there's no glare on here. My car is parked right behind me, and the sun is bouncing up in my face, causing a glare. It's one thing, I love sunny days. I love painting on perfectly sunny days, but the glare can be really challenging to deal with sometimes. And here comes another car. I can't believe it. So a scene like this is going to be heavily impressionistic. As you can see, I'm starting with just blocking in some random color, some random green. Trying to get the darks in first. And I can't believe it, here comes another car. I swear it's a conspiracy. I'm parked right off the side on this dirt road. I'm sure I'll still be okay, but of course you always like to be parked off the side of the road when it's not a busy road. So I'm going to be changing this landscape a little bit. When you're doing these things, when you do a scene, it's so important to ask yourself, what do you like about the scene? You know, what is it that captures your attention? And for me, it was the overall the contrast between these greens and the sky. So that's what I'm going to go after here. And getting these front lit greens also is another thing that I'd like to do. Sunlight is a very warm light. However, front lit greens have a tendency to not always be so warm. There's actually kind of almost a bleaching effect from the sun. Where things get really warm is when you have translucent backlit leaves and things like that and grasses. Those get really warm. But you know, as I'm sitting out here right now, there's some grasses kind of behind me where the sun is, and those grasses are backlit and they're very yellow warm. But these front lit grasses, while they're still on the slightly warm side, there's quite a bit of cool green effect going on there. So that's something else I want to capture because it's a challenge to do that. I like to take my palette knife, especially with natural subjects, foliage, things like that, and just after I get the initial block in done, the block in's not completely done, but it's close. I like to just kind of rub the palette knife over, smooth down some of the thick paint, and really mess it up, give it a nice random feel. Comes a car. These people apparently are leaving the area. Okay, so I definitely need to lighten up my foreground some more. And by the way, my colors that I have in here is titanium white, nickel yellow, cad yellow light, cadmium orange, yellow ochre, transparent red oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, viridian and chromium green oxide, and Gamlen's Portland gray warm. Truckload of kids having a great old time. I just can't believe there's another vehicle coming. If you watch my other videos, you'll see, especially when I'm out east, I'm in a lot of areas where there's quite a bit of traffic. It's kind of hard to avoid it, but here in Montana, I thought, I'm going to be able to find some really quiet, secluded areas. And I think everybody is out traveling, getting out of the house after the COVID lockdowns and that. Can't blame them. I know I keep griping about that, but I love it when I find an area I think is secluded, and it kind of annoys me when it's not so secluded. Okay, so I have the valleys and the grasses adjusted, so I think we're in good shape there. And now I'm going to put in the star of the show, which is the trunks of the aspens. I'm going to use a palette knife to do that. Now the local color of the aspens appears to be white, but they're not a pure white, first of all, and second of all, rarely ever do you want to put pure white on your canvas. Because there's rarely anything in nature that is pure white. You guessed it, another vehicle's coming. Just waiting for one of them to stop and say, "Are you painting or something?" So tempting to just want to go, or something. I'm not painting them, or something. That's what I'm doing. I'm being a bit facetious today, as you can tell. By the way, this is a very challenging subject to paint, mostly front lit greens like this that are all over the place. I don't recommend this if you're newer to plein air painting. Don't even recommend this for if you're not newer to plein air painting. Don't know if I recommend myself doing this. Sometimes I'm attracted to scenes that just turn out to be disasters. We'll see if this is the case. I probably should have did the backlit ones, but we're here, we started, so we'll keep going. Don't like how thick I got with that white. It might be a little challenging to work with later. Honestly, this painting would probably be easier to do bigger. This is about a 6x8. A little bigger than 6x8. And it's a pretty small size. Some people ask me, why I paint so small. And a couple reasons for that. First of all, it's just quicker and easier to get the overall effect of light on the entire scene, just because you have less canvas to cover. And secondly, it takes less time to do it, which of course goes directly back to the first reason. But the other reason why I want to take less time to do it is because I'm only out here for so long. And I want to get as many paintings done as possible, so I can come out here, spend thousands of dollars, come out and do 2 or 3 really good big paintings and go home, and that's it. Or I can do lots of little paintings, and then when I'm back home and I'm not in Montana, I have all that reference to work with for studio paintings. Of course, I have tons of studio painting or plein air sketches at home from past sessions that I still have to work up, but I'd rather have them and not use them, at least not use them right away, versus not have them and wish I did. I'll run into other artists out in the field Plein Air painting, and they're painting really big. Or you see it on YouTube also. And kudos to them if they can pull it off. I just probably couldn't do that. But I also notice a lot of times that, you know, they're starting the thing at like late afternoon, early evening, and either they're coming back for multiple sessions, or they have an insane skill level, or their painting is not going to look like the actual scene. They're just kind of making it up and winging the colors. And if I'm just going to wing the colors, I might as well just snap a photo and do it that way. The precise reason I'm out here is to get accurate values and colors. And that's it. Not out to impress anybody with the size of my painting. So the main objective for me right now is the balance of colors and values. Hey, I just noticed a car hadn't gone by in a while, but here comes one. But the balance of colors and values between the lights and darks in the tree area.
Hey.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I saw you yesterday painting.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's a beautiful mountain, isn't it?
Big time.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Have a good one.
Oh, you too.
That guy has no clue he's going to be on YouTube later. Wonder if I put up a big sign, YouTube video in progress, if I get as many people coming and talking to me or not. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be on YouTube. I think every fly in the vicinity has found me. So I have my dark greens and my highlight greens, and there's also, it's very subtle, but there's a transition area between the darks and the highlights of a more rich green tone. We just use a little bit purer green. Now I'm going to put in some dabs of my sky color. See if I can get that balance in that relationship. By the way, if you're interested in supporting my channel, I have a Patreon account set up. There's a link below. Help support me with all the expense that goes into this. Extra canvas, camera equipment, camera cards, you name it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. But if you're interested in supporting me, click on that link, and as a thank you for my Patreon supporters, once a month I'm going to be giving away a free oil sketch. One of my oil sketches here. I'll be doing a live drawing once a month starting in July of 2021. Do have some supporters already who are in for the drawing. But if you do that, that's a cool way to help me keep going here. I hear some thumping up in the woods there. I just want to make sure it's not a bear, especially a grizzly bear. No bear! If it is, hopefully it'll stay away. Bears usually don't like to run into you any more than you want to run into them, so if they know you're here, they usually just take off. But if the camera suddenly starts pointing up to the sky and you hear me screaming, call 911 please. Actually, you won't be able to. This won't be posted until after I be dead or mauled, mutilated, whatever. Then I can set up a Patreon account for my medical expenses if I survive. I'd be very shocked if it was a grizzly bear. But then I've been around long enough to learn not to be shocked at too much anymore. So as the sky goes up, it gets a little bluer. So I'm just adding more cobalt. Trying to keep this mixture really clean. You can see I'm just applying most of this with a palette knife. No real rhyme or reason for that. It's really probably just because I'm too lazy to put my palette knife down at this point. This is a good place to emphasize the whole concept of angles and consequent values. Even though I have the sunlit part of the trees there, you can see that the value is still darker than the sky. And that's usually, not always, but that's usually how you want it. Wonder where they're going. They're pulling this huge trailer. Okay, taking a clean brush, I'm just going to touch this up. Really trying hard to keep those greens from the trees out of my paint mixture. Okay, I just did my little head tilting trick. I tip my head upside down and analyze the scene in my painting. And in doing that, I have to go even lighter with the sky down here. Okay, so that was a very important transition. You can see when I go lighter with the sky and then let it be darker toward the top, it gives it definitely a more natural feel, because that's how skies are. They're more blue, a deeper blue as you go up, a darker value, and they get lighter and less blue, almost more toward a Viridian. In fact, watch this. I'm going to take a little bit of Viridian and put in this mixture. Put that right there. There. Just think I'll clean up my palette a bit, and then we're going to go with the trunks. Okay, so the trunks, there's it's kind of sneaky shadow area. I say sneaky in that the colors can be fairly ambiguous, and the reason why is because you have light bouncing all around in there. You have some of the shadow side of the trunks is catching light from the sky, which is going to be a cool blue light. You have some of the shadow, it's capturing ambient light reflected from the green leaves. So it's just all over the place. Even the cows out there agree that were just mooing a second ago. And when interesting thing I've noticed, and this is why painting from life is so awesome, is that as the branches move up, you have this one branch that kind of crosses over like this, and the shadow side of that branch, it's barely noticeable, but it's actually very warm because it's picking up the warm light bouncing off the grasses below. And so it'll almost be like a warm shadow highlight, if you will. I'm just going to put a note of it there. Now obviously, because I'm painting so small, it's not going to stick out a whole lot, but when I get back home, and even if I decide to do this, you know, like a year or two from now, just having that little note of color in there is going to remind me of that, because I can almost guarantee, even though I'm shooting with a really nice camera, Actually rented a camera for this trip because I was also doing a historical Native American photo shoot, and I wanted a super high-res camera, so I rented a Canon 5D. Nikon users, please keep comments to yourself. Just kidding. But anyway, I rented the this nice camera, but it's still, and I shoot in RAW, but it still just does not capture nearly what the human eye can capture. And when you painted it from life, and especially if you've painted the same type of subject a number of times, or just after painting from life for a number of years, you're going to be able to make up for some of these deficiencies in photography. Photography is wonderful for getting detail most of the time. But even detail, it can fail, just because detail, you know, sometimes doesn't mean a hill of beans if you don't have good values and colors. It's much better. I'm using a an imitation badger hair brush to put in these the lights of these trunks. This is a number 4, a Rosemary and Company Long Flat Series 279, and these are nice brushes. You can get a nice sharp edge that you cannot get with a bristle brush. And for painting small like this, it's wonderful. See, I'm gonna have to adjust my umbrella soon. I have an umbrella on my palette and painting to keep me from painting too dark. I have a tendency, some guys are really good at painting in direct sunlight. I do that, I just end up painting too dark. One of my many weaknesses. These trunks that are further away, they almost seem to pick up a pinkish tone in the highlight. So I just added some of that Gamlin's Portland Gray Warm to my mixture. See those fine lines I can get with this brush just by using the tip of it. I do not officially endorse Rosemary and Company. If they asked me to, I probably would, hint hint, if they ever watch this. But even though I don't officially endorse them, I do like their brushes. They're based out of Great Britain, but they ship all over, and their shipping's fast for Great Britain, and it's very inexpensive. I mean, I barely notice any difference between getting shipping costs from there and shipping costs from other vendors in the United States. And they make some good brushes. I also use Silver Grand Prix brushes for bristles. I almost tend to like their brushes, their bristle brushes, maybe a little better. Last set I got from Rosemary was not quite the quality I've gotten from them before as far as bristle brushes, but these brushes here, these imitation badger hair brushes, it's about the only place you can get them now is from Rosemary. They are copies from Langnickel's, but Rosemary makes them so much better. Langnickel's would lose hair faster than I do in the shower. Okay, time to adjust the umbrella. Okay. But I have to say that with Rosemary and Company, I might have just got kind of a lemon batch because I've even gotten a number of bristle brushes from them, and overall they've been excellent. So maybe I got the COVID batch or something. And if you like doing detail work in oil, these brushes are dynamite for that. And they can blend very soft too. Very soft blending, very subtle blending. Now for the fun part, the reason why we all paint aspens is those dark spots. You want to be careful with them though. You don't want to get too spotty with them. going to bring the footing of this front tree just down a bit into the grasses. There, that little change, see how that little change there just really gives it a lot more interest. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the palette, and I think we're on the home run stretch here. Okay, so I cleaned my palette off, and I'm mixing some more sky color, but a little bit darker. I'll explain that in a minute. And I'm also going to remix some of my greens here. Just wanted to mention too, if you are interested, I teach live online painting classes via Zoom. We meet on Saturdays and we do a painting from start to finish. We don't go nearly this fast because it is in the studio, and because I don't have to paint insanely fast like I do out here Plein Air, I take you through step by step, pretty much stroke by stroke, and we do the painting from start to finish over a 4-week period of time. I'm very generous with my teaching. I don't talk a whole lot out here because I can't, and sometimes I don't talk much at all just because I'm doing a lot of intense concentration. But the studio, that's a little different. So I do talk quite a bit more and explain a lot, and you learn a lot. A lot of my students have been with me since the beginning because they're learning a lot, and they like that. Of course, who doesn't? But all the sessions are recorded, so if you miss a session, no big deal. You can watch the recording later. And when you become a member, you get immediate access to the recordings, all past recordings, which is really cool. We have, going back to the beginning when I started doing this publicly, we also have a live Q&A and critique session. And I demo, before the class starts each month, I also demo the painting on my own from start to finish, so you can get an idea of what it's like. Because teaching and painting are not the same thing. When I'm painting, and you guys are seeing a little bit more what it's like when I'm just painting outside of a teaching environment. And it's pretty intense. And of course, when I teach, that's different too. So what I decided to do is to give my students the best of both worlds. You get to watch me do the painting on my own from start to finish at the beginning of the month, and then we dive in together as a class, and we do the painting again together, step by step. And during my solo demo, if you will, I do some explaining in that too. I'm not like, cold silent or anything. I do a lot more explaining than I do here, because once again, I'm not up against the clock being the sun. That was a big bug, wow. Like I am here. And we don't have vehicles constantly driving by us either, which is nice. But anyway, if you're interested, there's a link below in the description. Click on that. That will take you to the waiting list. And I have a waiting list because you don't want to join right in the middle of the month. And if you're wondering about the cost, I'm not going to say the cost here because, you know, if I end up raising the cost, depending on demand and everything, I of course want this to be evergreen, this video. But let's just say for the amount of hours you get in instruction, I can tell you at least right now the cost is less than what you'd pay, what most people would pay a music teacher, a piano teacher per hour. So, and I can do that because it's online and there's a lot less expense involved. Plus, in-person workshops, to my knowledge, are not recorded where you can watch again and again. That's one thing that my students really like. Because even the ones who make it, they like to watch the recordings later to pick up on things they might have missed. Or to watch me, you know, do something again and again so they can really absorb it and get it down. And we take all levels. So there's a lot of complexity going on here, and I want to keep this nice and simple. Show as much complexity as I can, but not go overboard with it. They must be building a house back here. I just went by with a bunch of lumber. I was shocked. This is on the way to East Rosebud Lake, and was kind of surprised to see all the houses back here, which explains all the traffic, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to take this blue and I'm going to carve back in some sky holes. And I did my best to make this blue for the sky holes just a little bit darker in value than the sky itself. It's very important because they really are darker in value. At least that's how they look to the human eye. And you want to paint things, you know, how they look to the human eye. It's the whole reason for being out here. This I'm going to have to make a little bit lighter because I'm extending this light area up. I'm hearing some kind of grunting up in the trees back there. No bear! Just want to make sure that it's not a bear. Most likely it's probably a elk or a deer or something like that, but just taking some thicker paint and just gently dabbing it on here to kind of simulate some of the leaves. taking a touch of this Gamlin's Portland Gray and just dabbing the branches here and there. Gives it a nice offset to all the green that's there. All right, I think we're pretty much done here. Like I said, if you, I want to thank you for watching, and stick around to the end. Check out the other videos that I have. Some of them will pop up at the end here for you to watch. Got quite a few, and there's more on the way. So be sure you subscribe. Hit the like button if you like this video. Also, consider joining or supporting me on Patreon. And if you want to take my workshops or learn more about them, click on the link below. That's for that and the Patreon account. But either way, thanks for sorry, I can't talk. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again soon.